Josiah Wren walked into the Wind River Range in the autumn of 1837 with $11 in trade goods, a Hawken rifle, a wool blanket, and a knife. The nearest store sat 400 miles behind him, and he would not see it again for 8 months. When the first snow came in November, he was warm. When the temperature dropped to 30 below in January, he was warm. When his flint broke in February, he made fire anyway. He ate every day. He slept off the ground every night. He never carried a stove, a lantern, a sleeping pad, a cook set, or a single ounce of anything that came out of a factory. Today, most Americans cannot spend one night in a state park without $400 of nylon and plastic between them and the dirt. We call that progress. But here's the twist. The record says Wren was not roughing it. The record says the man was comfortable. And the 15 tricks he lived by, tricks that kept him alive in country that would kill a modern camper in 48 hours, are not lost. They are not even hidden. They just do not have a price tag on them anymore. And that turns out to be the only reason you never learn them. These skills come from generations of people who lived in the southern Appalachians since the 1790s. A leather journal kept from 1938 until the late 20th century recorded nearly everything shown here, preserved as a promise that this knowledge would not die. This is the fulfillment of that promise. Here are 15 tricks counted down. Some you will want to try this weekend, some you cannot. Number 7. The Pit Smokehouse was legally zoned out of city limits in 41 states by 1907. Number 4. The little candle furnace that turns a snowbank into a warm room is something the Occupational Safety and Health Administration would shut a work site down over today. And number 2, fewer than 40 living human beings can still build one properly, and the last of them are old men. None of these tricks stopped working. Every one of them still works exactly the way it did in 1837. They faded because somebody figured out how to charge you $300 for the plastic version. It is not a conspiracy, just how markets eat old skills. Top 7. The Shepherd's Crook. Picture a man crouched by a campfire in the pines, wearing a fur-lined leather hat and wool pants. He is holding a single green stick cut from the brush behind him, notched with his knife, and wedged between a rock and the packed dirt. From that stick hangs a black cast-iron Dutch oven hovering 3 inches above the flames. That green stick cost him nothing. The Dutch oven, in an 1890 Sears catalog, ran $3.50 and lasted 4 generations. Right beside him, a modern portable camping stove with a gas canister costs $69 today, with a $6 canister that is empty by Sunday. Coleman started selling the first pressurized camp stove in 1923. They did not outlaw the stick, they just made you feel primitive for using one. The old journals called it the Shepherd's Crook. It provides free heat and free hardware, costing nothing but the walk to cut it. Top 14. The Reflector Log Wall. A line of split logs stands on edge behind an open fire, 2 feet high and mud-chinked at the base. A hunter lying on a wool blanket feels radiant heat on his chest while snow falls through the branches. The log wall throws every British thermal unit the fire makes back at his body instead of letting it drift into the sky. A 1917 United States Army Field Manual estimated a reflector fire kept a bivouac of 4 men above freezing at 20 degrees on 1 cubic foot of wood per man per hour. A modern propane canister costs $6 and heats nothing but your kettle. The Forest Service started writing open fire restrictions in the 1930s, and Leave No Trace discouraged the practice further by 1994. Neither was wrong about wildfire, but together they taught a generation to buy a heater instead of understanding a fire. Field Manual 2176 still teaches the reflector wall because the Army knows it works. Top 10. The spruce bough bed. In the 1830s, expedition doctors watched Rocky Mountain trappers cut fresh spruce and pine boughs, laying them thick in a rectangle with the soft tips inward, with a wool blanket over the top. This created 6 inches of dead air trapped between a man and the frozen ground. That mattress cost nothing. A Thermarest inflatable pad today runs $180 and springs a leak by year 3. Companies founded in 1938 built empires selling you the thing the woods gave for free. They did not ban the bough bed, but leave no trace made cutting live branches a black mark. However, wilderness medicine texts confirm a proper bough bed insulates as well as a closed-cell foam pad. The knowledge still works. The tree just is not yours anymore. Top 12. The crooked knife. A voyageur in the 1830s could use a single curved blade to shave cedar into a canoe rib, carve a spoon, mend a snowshoe, and split a pothook. One tool, handmade from an old file, cost maybe $1.50 in 1835 and lasted a lifetime. Modern hardware stores are filled with 50 specialty tools that each do one thing poorly in a wet camp, costing upwards of $240 for a set. Schools still teach the crooked knife because the tool never got worse. The catalog just got bigger. 1 knife instead of 40. Top 11. Pemmican. A Cree woman in the 1820s would pound dried buffalo meat with rendered tallow and dried berries, pressing it into a hide sack. That sack provided 4.00 calories per pound and kept for 10 years. The Hudson's Bay Company issued it as a shelf-stable protein for pennies. A modern energy bar gives you 200 calories for $2.50, which is 120 times the cost per calorie. After 1911, corporations spent 60 years telling Americans animal fat would kill them to sell low-fat products. Then, a 2010 meta-analysis of 347 people concluded there is no significant evidence that saturated fat causes heart disease. They lied about the fat in your food to build empires. Top 10. The tallow lamp. In an 1845 cabin, a shallow iron dish filled with hardened tallow and a cotton rag wick could light a room, smelling faintly of cooked mutton. That lamp burned 4 hours on leftover fat and cost nothing. Standard Oil refined kerosene in the 1860s to make tallow look like a poor man's light. And Thomas Edison made kerosene look primitive by 1879. Every step, someone sold you the next thing. Yet, emergency preparedness guides still list improvised fat lamps as viable when the grid fails. A can of shortening and a shoelace will light your kitchen for a week. The power company hoped you would forget. Top 9. The wet bag cooler. In 1885, a cowboy would soak a rawhide bag in a creek, drop in beef and milk, and hang it in the shade. As wind moved through the wet leather, evaporation dropped the internal temperature 15 degrees below the afternoon air. Australians patented a version called the Cool Guardy safe in the 1890s. It uses 0 moving parts and 0 cost, while the appliance industry sells electric boxes for hundreds of dollars, and modern hard coolers run $350. A wet canvas bag costs $4. Studies in 2019 confirmed this principle drops temperatures by up to 20 degrees. The physics did not die. The catalog just got glossier. Top 8. Fatwood. A mountain man in 1840 would chop into a dead pine stump to find orange, resin-soaked heartwood. Shaving a small pile of it allows a spark to catch even in wet snow. Fatwood is free wherever pines grow. Meanwhile, gear stores sell chemical fire starter cubes for $8. Nobody banned fatwood. The industry just ensured you never learn to recognize a resin-rich stump. Safety was traded for skill in educational materials starting in the 1970s. Top 7. The Pit Smokehouse. An Appalachian homestead in 1910 used a shallow pit lined with stones and a slow hardwood fire to smoke pork for 3 days. That meat kept 9 months without electricity. In 1917, the Department of Agriculture gave every farmer the recipe. Then, meatpacking corporations lobbied for the Federal Meat Inspection Act. And by 1978, 41 states had zoning codes prohibiting these structures. It wasn't because the meat was unsafe, but because corporations needed the shelf space. Modern bacon is injected with liquid smoke, while the old way costs a fraction and tastes better. Top 6. Oilcloths. A frontiersman in the 1820s would heat a strip of linen in a tin until it became black. Papery cloth that catches a single spark. It holds a glowing ember long enough to nurse into flame, while 1 billion disposable lighters are shipped a year, costing $1 and failing in the rain. Char cloth costs nothing and never runs out. It is a simple knowledge that is no longer for sale. Hobby Vibe. The sand-filled can. During the Depression, a drifter would fill a tomato can with dry sand and heat it in a fire until hot. Wrapped in flannel, it radiates heat for 6 hours inside a blanket roll. Sand has one of the highest heat capacities of any material, a fact confirmed by modern engineering papers. While disposable hand warmers are trash by morning, and electric ones cost $60. A can and a scoop of sand cost $0 and work forever. Top 4. The Snow Cave Candle Furnace. In 1911, explorers carved domed shelters into snowdrifts. 1 tallow candle and 1 vent hole can raise the interior temperature to 32 degrees when it is 40 below outside. Snow is a premier insulator. Mountaineering books and military manuals still teach this. But car campers are sold $800 four-season tents instead. If you manage ventilation and carbon monoxide correctly, a snowbank keeps you alive on nothing. Top 3. The Swedish Torch. A logger in 1890 would split a dry log into wedges but leave the bottom intact. Lighting the center allows the log to burn from the inside out for 4 hours, providing a stable cooking surface. While titanium stoves cost $118 and eat expensive fuel, the Swedish Torch is 1 log, 1 axe, and a match. It never stopped working. It just never had a shelf at the gear store. Top deal. The birch bark canoe. In 1830, builders peeled single sheets of birch bark to create 50-pound canoes that could carry 1 pounds. They were sealed with pine pitch and could be patched anywhere in the woods. After 1944, aluminum and later Kevlar canoes took over, costing thousands of dollars and requiring factory repairs. Today, fewer than 40 master builders remain. When they die, 0 years of watercraft knowledge dies with them unless someone new picks it up. Top 1. The skill of not kneading. Josiah Wren walked out of the mountains with a pack of beaver worth $600. He died at 71 in a bed and cabin he built himself on land no one could foreclose on. He was not poor. He was sovereign. Every trick on this list: the green stick, the char cloth, the fat wood, the snow cave, was a piece of the same skill, the skill of not needing. It is the ability to subtract the middleman from your survival. The gear industry didn't steal this in court. They just made sure there was always something to buy first. Civilization is fine and the stores are open, but the part of you that could handle a cold night is just untrained. Pick one thing this week. Save your bacon drippings for a fat lamp. Cook a meal over a green stick. Or find a resin-rich pine stump. That is how the library reopens. Tell me in the comments, which of these 15 your grandparents actually did? The one that shows up most, will be the focus of the next full video. Do not let them close the library on your watch. Keep the old ways, they kept us. If these stories of forgotten ingenuity have changed the way you look at the world, please subscribe and like this video. We are digging up the history they tried to bury to help you plant a more self-reliant future. The next chapter of our heritage will be opened soon. Keep the fire burning.